That's just great. Oh,
What?
oh, the presentation like pro. It's like I don't know what it's doing. Um, did you open it? Is that
No.
why?
No.
Oh, I don't know. It's freaking out. Um, I've got the endless circling thing going on.
Oh, did you save it recently?
I did. I'm gonna leave the Zoom. I don't know.
Yeah, leave the Zoom and come back.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Hi, Kimberly.
Bye.
It's me, you, and Ron trying to connect, it looks like.
Okay.
And then a few other people are in the waiting room.
All right. Let's see if I can.
Oh, he just left. He'll be back.
Oh, I was just there I am. I was just seeing if the um slideshow was working.
Is it better?
Yeah, it's not frozen anymore, which is good.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened. Um,
Mur Raza, who's that? Is that one of the partners?
Laura Raza? Huh.
Mamerraza.
I have no idea. It just might be somebody using like a partner's like
Okay.
Zoom or something.
You don't recognize that name.
That's the first name, Mara, Mara.
Maer.
M oh MA. Oh, Mayor, huh? And there's no like DCR or
No,
anything
no,
afterward?
no, but Ron didn't have that either, so.
Yeah. That does not sound familiar to me, but I guess if we get Zoom bombed with some horrible thing, we just end the meeting like right away. But I think hasn't the security like gotten a ton better?
I don't know.
But anyway, I don't recognize that person, but um
Let
it's
me see if I
probably
can.
okay. Can you message them and say, who are
Yeah,
you?
I don't No, I guess not. Let's just let them in and see what happens before we
Yeah,
let anyone else in.
yeah, that's a good idea.
So I'm just gonna start writing down people's names now while they're sitting in the waiting room. So,
Mhm.
can you let us know what agency you're with so I can write this down for our meeting notes?
Yes, my name is Amirza. I am from Mass DOT.
Okay,
Great, thank you.
and then
Welcome.
I am filling
I'll,
for Mike Fabiano, who will join late. So I am just
Oh,
filling in for him. This is my first meeting. So.
oh, great,
okay,
wonderful.
I'll let Emily boss in. I'll let the partners in slowly, and then I'll let everyone else in all at once.
Okay.
Emily is with Glenn.
There we go.
Hi, Emily.
Hi there.
Mhm. And then Ron Rhodes would be the Connecticut River
Yep,
Conservancy.
CRC.
All right, we have one more minute for me to. I'm just letting some of the partners in first, in case you guys have any questions. Eric Perro, let him in.
Mm.
And Mary and Aaron. Eric.
If those of you who are in, if you wouldn't mind putting in the chat, maybe that would be helpful, Audrey, for or we're going to ask people to introduce themselves anyway when we go around, but for attendance.
Yeah. All right. Well, we have the partners in here. If you wouldn't mind putting your name and your agency that you're affiliated with in the chat, that would be great. And then I'm just gonna start letting the rest of the coalition members in about 1 minute. Goodness, so many people. This is great. All right, so again, if you just came in and you're one of the partners, just your name and your agency that you work for. So I can get that written down, and then I'm gonna let everyone else in because we're at 11. Double checking, they should be recording automatically.
It looks like the chat is disabled, at least for me.
Oh, it says recording with a little red
All right, recording, we're good. You're saying chat disabled. Does anyone else having a disabled chat? Just come off of mute.
Yes, I also have disabled chat.
Why does that happen?
The chat for me only goes to Audrey. It doesn't
Right.
go to the general group.
Okay, I'm gonna fix that right now. So I'm gonna let everyone else in and work on that in the background so we can get rolling. And then I'll send a message when it's fixed. Thanks for letting me know. All right, Kimberly, I'm letting everyone in. So once they're all in,
Okay,
you can get rolling and I'll work on this chat situation.
great. Thanks, Audrey. I think you might need to enable the share for me.
Yep, I just did it. I got
Oh.
the notification.
Okay. Great. Well, thank you, everyone. What a great turnout that we have. I really, I'm happy to see everyone, and welcome to our project partners, the members. Welcome to the Resilient Deerfield River Watershed Coalition. We do have an item on the agenda for the partners to share the work that they're doing in the watershed. But I think it would be, just to start things off, if we could briefly just go around and introduce yourself and your agency affiliation or your town affiliation. And I can maybe start and then if with Amir, and then if you, once you introduce yourself, if you just pass it along to the next person, and we'll do that quickly to get everyone introduced.
Yes, my name is Amir. I am from Mass DOT. Next is Audrey.
Hi, I'm Audrey. So I'm with the Franklin Regional Council of Governments, helping Kimberly with this project. And the chat should now be enabled for everyone to send a message. So if that is a problem when you're introducing yourself, let me know. Oh, there's a message. Great.
And I guess I forgot to introduce myself. Sorry. I'm Kimberly McPhee. I'm the Land Use and Natural Resources Program Manager here at the Franklin Regional Council of Governments. And I'll ask Emily to introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Emily Boss. I work for Franklin Land Trust and its subsidiary Mass Woodlands Institute. Kimberly, were we supposed to say a little bit about our work or just our introduction for now?
Just our introductions, because we have a whole segment of the agenda for your work.
And
Yeah.
I'm joined by two of our interns who can introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Becca Smith. I'm working with the Massachusetts Woodlands Institute and Franklin Land Trust, and also finishing up a seasonal position at the Connecticut River Conservancy.
Great.
I'm Pia Martin. I'm doing an internship for Mass Woodlands Institute.
Wonderful. Thank you. Ron?
Morning, everybody. Ron Rhodes. I'm the Director of Programs at the Connecticut River Conservancy. And I'll pass it over to Becky.
Hi, Becky Budd, Restoration Program Manager at Connecticut River Conservancy. Margot.
Hi, everyone. I'm Margot Gia. I'm a regional planner and natural resources planner at Wyndham Regional Commission for the Vermont side of the Deerfield. And I'll pass it to Michael.
Hi, I'm Mike Fabiano from Mass DOT District 1, the maintenance section.
Great. Thank you, Mike. And our other Michael?
Yeah, there's always more than one. Michael Leff, I'm the director of the Massachusetts Association of Conservation District, and it's great to see some faces that I haven't seen for quite a while.
Yes,
Oh,
definitely.
and I'll pass it to whoever wants to grab it next.
Nick?
Yeah, thank you. Nicholas Miller with Field Geology Services. I've done a number of watershed assessments around the Deerfield, Huck 12 basins, and excited to be here. How about Emma?
Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm Emma Sass, I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the MVP Regional Coordinator for the Berkshires and Hilltowns. I'll pass it to Lisa.
Hello, Lisa Hayden. I work at New England Forestry Foundation and serve as administrative agent for the Woodlands Partnership of Northwest Massachusetts. And we've done some tree planting projects with U.S. Forest Service funding in recent years on the Deerfield and also in Berkshire County. And just interested to listen and learn today. Thanks.
Hey, thank you, Lisa. How about Megan?
Hi, I'm Megan Sujinsky. I'm with the Franklin Conservation District as well as the Hamden, Hampshire Conservation District. And I also wear a third hat with the Mass Association of Conservation Districts. So we're really glad at Franklin that Kimberly sits on our board, and she's been able to involve us in a lot of really great partnerships and good dynamic conversations. So glad to be here. Thanks for the invite, Kimberly.
Well, thank you. And Kyla.
Hi, so I am also with the Franklin Conservation District as well as the Hampton, Hampshire Conservation District, and it's nice to meet y'all.
Wonderful. Carrie.
Hi, I'm Carrie Banks with the Division of Ecological Restoration in the Department of Fish and Game. And I also grew up in the Deerfield watershed, so I'm very familiar with the watershed.
Thanks, Carrie. Andrew.
I'm Andrew Smith, Greater Connecticut River Valley Regional Coordinator for the MVP program.
Thanks, Andrew. Rita.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rita Thibodeau. I'm the Assistant State Conservationist for Programs with USDA Natural Resources Conservation Service in Massachusetts.
Wonderful. Thanks. Matthew.
Hello, Matthew Stanek with MassDOT Environmental. I'm a Resiliency Environmental Policy Coordinator.
Fabulous. Thanks. Mary.
Hi, I'm Mary Grover. I'm an environmental analyst in MassDEP's Western Regional Office in Springfield in the Division of Wetlands and Waterways.
Thanks, Mary. Erin.
I am Erin Rogers. I'm the program manager for Trout Unlimited.
Wonderful. Did I get, let's see. All right. And so now I'll go to our town representatives. Janet.
I'm Janet Shays from Conway, Chair of the Open Space Committee and Principal of Friends of the South River.
Thanks, Janet. Jessica Siegel.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jessica Siegel, and I am the conservation agent for the city of Greenfield.
Thanks, Jessica. Bob.
Hi, I'm Robert Cherdak, and I'm on the planning board for Ashfield.
Thanks. Ashley.
Hi, I'm from Charlemont, Ashley Sparks, and I have been involved with the Deerfield River in various ways over the years.
Thanks, Ashley. John Lepore. Oh, you're on mute, John.
There you go. Hello, everybody. John Lepore, Berniston Planning Board.
Thanks, John. Let's see. Did we get Eric Pirro?
No, not yet. Good morning. My name is Eric Perro. I work for Great River Hydro as an operations coordinator, and we own and operate 7 hydroelectric power facilities on the Deerfield River. And I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say in your meetings about.
Great.
Thank
Thank you. Thank you, Eric. Let's see. Did I get everyone? It's always a challenge.
Yeah, a few people snuck in. So if you guys haven't introduced yourselves, so just saying your name and the agency you work for. And then if you could also pop both of those things in the chat when you're done introducing yourself, if we miss someone.
Oh, I see people that I missed. Star.
Hello, Star Atkinson. I'm the secretary to boards in Charlemont and just interested resident of Charlemont.
Thanks, Star. Andrea. I think I got everybody. So welcome, and let me start. I want to share my screen. We have a PowerPoint presentation that we would like to, if I can get it. So Audrey, how is that looking? Is it the normal view or the presenter view?
No, it looks normal to me.
Wonderful. Okay.
And then I'm just gonna have everyone, I'm gonna either mute them or if you can mute yourselves so we can hear Kimberly talk.
Okay, great. Well, thank you again, everyone. I'm so excited to see such a great turnout. This is the 5th meeting of the Resilient Deerfield River Watershed Coalition. This project is funded by the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Program, and we're really happy to welcome our project partners to this meeting and hear about the work that you have done in the watershed, you're currently doing, and that you're planning to do. But first, I thought for our project partners, it would be really helpful just to have a brief recap of what is actually literally decades of work in the Deerfield River watershed by the Franklin Regional Council of Governments, by NRCS, by the towns, by other state agencies. A lot of work has been done in the watershed, especially after Tropical Storm, called A Framework for Resilience, Responding to Climate Change in the Deerfield River Watershed. And in that plan, we described the climate hazards and the expected impacts on 3 sectors of the water in our watershed communities: natural resources and habitat, human health and welfare, and local economy and infrastructure. And there were recommendations in the plan for building resilience at both the local and watershed scale. And relevant to what we're doing today, there was a recommendation to convene a resilient Deerfield River Watershed Coalition to continue this work. And I think many of you are already, as rivers and watersheds don't conform to our political boundaries. And what we're working towards in the coalition is how can we better understand how our actions and decisions in our communities impact our watershed neighbors, because there are many smaller subwatersheds and catchment areas in the greater Deerfield watershed that are shared by multiple communities. So how can we work collaboratively across the watershed? How can we work with you, our project partners, to pool resources, build on networks and ideas? And the current project, which is June 30th, 2026, that we would have worked to better understand the impacts from a changing climate, specifically flooding in each of the watershed towns and across their shared watersheds. Explored ways to cooperate, coordinate, and leverage work and funding. Have a list of priority actions, 20 priority actions and projects for the Deerfield River watershed. Have the endorsement of the 14 watershed towns and a plan for continuing the work of resilient DRW. So one development of a regional watershed flood model for the Deerfield River watershed. We've been doing, science-based assessment work in the watershed for a while now, and I'm going to talk about that briefly in a minute. But this regional flood model is so exciting for a number of reasons. It is a tool that will help us evaluate flood risks and help us identify and prioritize and design future projects that build resiliency. So we're and for those of you who are interested, if you want to see the Charles River Watershed Association, I think that was the first watershed in the state that had a regional flood model developed, and they've been working with that model and doing updates to it for a number of years now. So if you visit the Charles River Watershed Association webpage, you can learn more about that model. And it was really the inspiration for what we wanted to do for the Deerfield. So we have a lot of data input for this model already, but we're really interested in having even more data gathered and ideas gathered from our project partners. So some of you are probably already familiar with the work that's been going on, the fluvial geomorphic assessment work that's been going on in the larger, the HUC 12 scale subwatersheds in the Deerfield. And this assessment work for the East Branch of the North River, the Clesson Brook watershed, the South River watershed, the Green River watershed has resulted in a pretty impressive list of projects. So in the last 15 years, across those subwatersheds, we've identified over 60 river restoration and other projects. And for several of these, we have conceptual site designs, or a few of them have been built. So these projects reflect a very good understanding of the river system, the watershed lands around the river system, and it's grounded in the science of fluvial geomorphology. And Margot Gia, who's our partner from Vermont, could share with us the work that the Vermont Rivers Program has been doing for several decades now. And the work that we've been doing in the Deerfield was inspired by that and modeled on that approach. So these projects that we've identified mimic natural rivers, mimic what you would see in a natural river system that hadn't been highly manipulated by people. And include things like floodplain reconnection, bank stabilization, repairing buffer plantings, in-stream structures that provide habitat, but also slow and disperse the flow during flood events. And we also have upland stormwater management projects that Aaron Rogers, for example, Trout Unlimited, has done work in this area and could share about that. The other types of projects that we have identified across the Deerfield River watershed kind of fall into two major categories, kind of stormwater management and then land conservation and restoration. So so happy to have representatives from DER and MassDOT here today, because the undersized culverts and bridges across the watershed, create challenges during flood events. Upgrades to stormwater infrastructure in more developed areas. That is a critical component of this work as well, especially when we can find opportunities to use nature-based solutions for stormwater management. Upgrades and maintenance for paved and unpaved roads, and in particular unpaved roads across Franklin County. We've done some work there. Drainage culvert upsizing is a good approach for providing more stormwater and flood resiliency. And then land conservation and restoration. So happy to have Franklin Land Trust and Connecticut River Conservancy, and again, Margot, to talk about how that approach can work in river corridors, which we've identified in those HUC 12 watersheds where we've done these geomorphic assessments. Again, slowing the flow in upland watershed areas reduces threats in downstream portions of the watershed, and land conservation and restoration in floodplains and wetlands. So I'm hoping, that this very like almost elevator pitch summary of the work is helpful for the project partners and gives you some context for the discussion that we hope to start having today, because we really are very interested in hearing about the work that you're doing in the watershed. So we have a very long and impressive list of watershed partners that we've reached out to. And again, so happy to have many of you here today, and we really appreciate your time. If you have any thoughts about other partners that we should reach out to, please let me know. And so with that, I think if everyone feels comfortable with this, that I'll just call on you and ask you to just share the work that you have done in the Deerfield River watershed. It could be past projects, something that you're working on today, what you have planned, any opportunities for collaboration that you see or that have happened in the past that would be helpful to understand. So do people feel comfortable with that approach? And if there are multiple people from an agency, it's really up to you if you want to have if you each want to speak or if you just want to nominate one of you to share. So I know you're all.
Can you go back to the Deerfield River watershed picture that you had, just so people can have some context if they're.
Sure, that's a
hearing
great
about
idea. And also, I suppose maybe we should pause too, before we start doing our kind of round robin with the partners. Does anyone have any questions or any comments before we start the discussion with the partners? Audrey, I can't really see anything. So is anybody raising their hand?
I'm not seeing anything. If you wouldn't mind coming off mute if you have anything to say, just because there are so many people here today, but I don't see anyone with a little virtual hand.
Okay. So why don't I, let's see. It's going to be difficult to see everybody, but I'm going to do my best just going through the grid here. So I am going to start with, we've got Ron Rhodes and Becky Budd from the Connecticut River Conservancy.
We have done in the past several dam removal projects in the Deerfield River watershed on the Vermont side. And we have 2 or 3 others that we are working on. I'm sure we've done some plantings, but Becky can tell you about the wood turtle work and other stuff she's doing.
Great. And then Ron, if we wanted to get those specific locations for the project locations, we could do that with you offline.
Yep.
Great.
Not
Thank you.
Where to start? Right now, we just got a grant to advance the Greenfield Electric Light and Power Dam design. So that's one thing on the Green River. I also have funds from the North River Damages Fund to advance the dam removal for the the Coleraine Lower Reservoir Dam, which is a pretty significant resilience project for the town, and also the fire station bank stabilization conceptual design, which Nick Miller can tell you more about. Wood turtle work is ongoing. We are doing outreach and implementation projects. I don't think anything's happening yet in the Deerfield, but still definitely in project development for that. And lastly, we have National Grid mitigation funds to plant 1,650 trees over the next 2 years. And we are looking for partners because it's specifically for mitigation for power line improvements in the Deerfield River watershed. And they've requested that we focus our efforts there. So looking for places to plant trees, and they're trying to replace upland species. So it's not our traditional riparian shrubs. They really want to place like more upland species, which is kind of fun. So looking for opportunities there.
Great.
Good question. Can I
Sure.
ask on that? You're planting upland trees on the power line corridors? I just want to clarify where your goal is.
Well, their improvements are on the power line corridor, but they are looking to plant trees anywhere in the watershed. So it can
Anywhere.
be, it could be like conservation land, or where they just want to have trees in the ground, as far as I could understand. So where does not have to be on a power line. It's anywhere else.
Okay, that's
Great.
we could maybe help.
Let me know if you've got a place that needs trees.
Okay. Okay.
Thanks, Janet.
I mean, are they going to be little saplings? I'm just curious. Little tiny saplings, or
probably whatever, depending on the species and what is available in stock. They can be anywhere from 2 to 3 feet or 4 to 6 feet. It really depends on the species selection and availability.
Well, and I think if there's any of the town representatives wanted to reach out to you directly about this work, that would be great. I see Megan, you raised your hand.
Yeah, thanks. I just wanted to ask about the species that are a part of the project. By chance, is there a focus on native tree species, or is it a variety?
We would want to do native species, yes. And the only restriction, as far as I can see, is that they were trying to focus on trees, not shrubs, like a real, something that's going to have carbon benefit, carbon
sequestering, sequestering. Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks.
Yeah, great. All right. Well, thanks. Becky, was there anything else you wanted to share?
No, that's quite enough for me. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Carrie.
So I guess just briefly, I'll explain a little bit about what the division does. So we work to restore wetlands, rivers, and streams across the Commonwealth. And we do that in a variety of ways. And the most applicable sort of restoration techniques that we would use in this region include supporting dam removals, culvert replacements, and freshwater, wetland, or floodplain restoration projects. Actually, the most active type of project that we've had in this region is our culvert replacements. A quick look at our map, and I can drop a link in the chat in just a moment here, but we've had 5 completed culvert replacement projects in the last 8 years, I would say, approximately. And we have funded approximately another 8 or 9 projects in the region that have reached some level of design and are either moving towards construction or maybe waiting to figure out the next steps. So just along those lines, if there's anybody that's interested, our culvert grant program is one of, I believe, 7 programs, and folks from MVP can also speak to this, but we are recently launched the Eco One Stop, which is a centralized, streamlined process for applying for environmental and resiliency projects. And there's an expression of interest out that you can submit a form for if you have a project in mind and you want to talk to one or more grant programs that maybe the project is eligible for. And you can submit that by October 28th. And I'll also drop a line in. So our grant program MVP and a couple other EEA grant programs are participating in the new Eco One Stop. In respect to, as I mentioned, we also work on dam removals. I would have to double check. I think we have done some dam site recons out in this region. I don't have that information right at my fingertips here, where we've evaluated the feasibility of dam removal. We haven't actually worked directly on a dam removal project in the region in Massachusetts here. But definitely there's some opportunities that come about. We also have a preliminary design. So if there is a dam removal project, I believe we're accepting applications, and I can again drop a link in once I find it. I believe it's the beginning of October. You could submit for municipally either owned dams or supported projects. The applications need to come from municipalities, but we can work on private dams if the municipality is interested, especially from a resiliency perspective. So that's an opportunity to get a site evaluation by an engineer and also provide preliminary designs for removal of a dam. And then in general, we're definitely interested in identifying more opportunities for freshwater wetland restoration and floodplain reconnection projects. So there's not an open opportunity currently, but happy to talk more about that if anybody was interested.
Great. Thank you, Carrie. Yeah, Carrie and I, what was it, back in like 2006 to 2008, we're doing those stream team inventories in some of these watersheds.
Found a lot of dams and culverts out there, didn't we?
Yes, a lot. Well, thanks so much, Carrie.
No
so I'm just going down how people appear on my screen. So Megan, you're next.
Yeah, so what do you think I should talk about most, Kimberly? Do you think the native plants project?
I think that would be, I think the sawmill, even though it's not in the Deerfield, but or both. And I think maybe talking about, because I was gonna call on Rita next, kind of the relationship between Franklin Conservation District and NRCS. And yeah, so just you could talk about the pollinator work or the native plant work, whatever you feel comfortable with.
Sure, yeah. So again, initiated by FERCOG with the pollinator plans a couple of years back. They helped to organize pollinator committees in the municipalities of Franklin County to identify really good spaces for restoring or creating pollinator habitat, and invited Franklin Conservation District in on it because we had some grant funding that we were looking to do some residential outreach with. And our house is kind of divided between ag producers and the general public. So we developed a grant program to be able to work closely with those committees to activate those plans and to really realize these spaces for habitat creation. And we have several going now in Franklin County where we provided I will have to say, mostly through the courtesy of the presence of the Conway School of Landscape Design. We have a lot of graduates from there who are very native plant literate and ecological resilience literate. And so they have been planners on several demonstration gardens, not only in Franklin County, but also through the whole Connecticut River corridor in Massachusetts. We have Hamden and Hampshire participating as well to showcase the flexibility of native plants, not just wild looking meadows that are wild and wonderful, but also a little bit more structured, more formal, you might say. We have a whole array of how you can work with native plants in a home or office landscape. And those are actually, several of them are having signs installed this month to help further the education of having those gardens on the landscape. But residents were also able to request consultations. And so we've had dozens and dozens of residential properties adding native plants to their home landscapes. And so we've attached to that a winter workshop series where people could learn about why native plants, how to provide a variety of shelter as well as food throughout the season, what the different life stages of our pollinators require in terms of host plants versus buffet. So if we're just feeding the adults all the time, we won't have a next generation. The generation we need to supply also for the larval and pupal stages of life. So it's been a couple of years now that we've been working across Franklin County with this project, and the grant that we're currently running is doing that as well. So that's been a really exciting thing to participate in. I think next steps for us, also called to our attention by FERCog, was the vulnerability of the Bloody Brook in Deerfield. And so I actually had recent meetings that would possibly lead to us being able to focus on outreach to landowners along the brook, as well as the Deerfield town's owned portion of the brook. And so having conversations with them about how we can really weave the native plant approach, and when I say native plants, I mean perennial shrubs and trees, into part of the matrix of targeting the flooding issues that that section of Deerfield is experiencing. So part of a climate resilient matrix. The sawmill stuff, I'm actually going to let Nick talk about a little bit, because he's really the guy in the know about the Sawmill River. But we were thrilled to have Nick do some mapping of the Sawmill River. I think that was also initiated by FERCog, but we were able to participate in that a little bit and hosted a meeting for people who own land along the Sawmill, and just lots of conversations about diversity of strategies for dealing with the erosion, and also the loss of the margins of the banks, and also even things associated with the possibility of things like easements for some of those landowners. So that's just a little scatter map of what we've been doing. So trying to keep it kind of high level, but that's a sampling of the kind of conversations we've been having and the work we've been doing. So.
Oh, well, thanks so much, Megan. And Kyla, I'm not going to call on you because you're brand new, and I'm so happy because Kyla is actually transitioning into the role that Megan had with the Franklin Conservation District and the Hamden, Hampshire folks as well. So I'm glad, Kyla, you were able to join us today. Actually, before I go to Rita, Michael, did you want to piggyback or add to Megan?
Yeah, this will add to, and I'm looking back, I've been director of the State Association of Conservation Districts for 5 years exactly. And before that, as a consultant, I was doing work in the Deerfield watershed for the Connecticut River Conservancy, as well as the Franklin Conservation District. And so that included stuff like, for the Conservancy, identifying landowners for river restoration projects, and then serving as project manager on two, in particular, the Green River Island project in Guilford and the Vermont side. So there is watershed above that horizontal line there. And then also awesome coal rain restoration with Nick Miller, as well as others on the call here, in the East Branch of the North River. And I understand it's looking really good right now, so I'm eager to get back out there with Nick one of these days. Also then for the Franklin Conservation District, helping to convene that Creating Resilient Communities group, which includes several of you on this, I'm sure. That was formed after Tropical Storm Irene way back. But then also creating the river access study, basically strategies for managing public access to our rivers and streams. There's a lot of issues involving public access being cut off because of some of the consequences to the river itself, rivers in the watershed. But that just blocking public access is not really the solution. And so looking into all the issues involved and what would really be necessary to help make that all sustainable. So I can actually, that's posted on Franklin's district's website. I can drop that into the chat if anyone wants to see that report. And then also actively collaborating with the Green River Watershed Alliance Collaborative. Margot's here, and that originates up in Vermont, so included collaboration across the border. And then finally, so in my role with MACD, we have this great concept for doing a cross-border Vermont and Massachusetts Deerfield River Watershed project through the Forest Service, the U.S. Forest Service Landscape Scale Restoration Grant Program, but that is, nobody knows. That because of what's been going on in the federal level, Forest Service has no idea. It's not happening now. We don't know if and when it ever will, but we do have a lot of partners, including folks here, that would be eager to collaborate on various measures on both sides of the border. We'll just like looking for funding opportunities that will arise, I'm sure. Guess that's
Great.
all.
Well, thanks, Michael, because we always do get that question, like, what's going on above us? So it's good to hear about those initiatives. And Rita, so happy to see you here. Rita is another longtime partner with the work that the COG has been doing in the Deerfield watershed. And even before, like, the COG started working on geomorphic assessments in the Deerfield, the NRCS had done some work. I think it was on the North River, wasn't it, Rita?
Yeah, yes, exactly. Thank you, Kimberly. NRCS has done a lot of work in the Deerfield River watershed, and we used to have a watershed planning staff. Most states did. As times, changed and whatnot with the federal government. Some of those staff retired and were never replaced. So over the years, we haven't been able to do that as much, but we have had funding available to provide to groups such as FERCOG and MACD to provide funding for them to do watershed assessments or to hire staff to do watershed assessments. So those are usually funds that come from our National Water Quality Initiative program, and they're federal funds. They're competitive, but oftentimes we will get money for that. So we have put in for some additional funding for this coming year, which is fiscal year 2026, which starts October 1st. We haven't seen our budget for fiscal year 26 yet, but we do expect to see funding coming that way. But other things that we have done over the years in the Deerfield River watershed, and Kimberly, you started it off at the beginning of the meeting, is talking about, Tropical Storm Irene. NRCS did an awful lot of work to try to help towns after that storm event, and that was emergency work. And that was through our Emergency Watershed Protection Program. And we did a lot of work in the Clesson Brook, in the North River, in the South River. We did some work over in the Green River as well. So we did, it was a lot of money that came into the towns. We worked directly with the towns on emergency work like that. It's really to protect. It's not to restore. So it's to protect roads, infrastructure, such as, bridges or perhaps someone's home. So we had done a lot of work, and then we've done some subsequent work after that with smaller, more isolated storm events to help with our Emergency Watershed Protection Program. But I think one of the main things that folks, know NRCS for is the direct work that we do with farmers and forest landowners, and that's providing direct technical assistance and financial assistance to those landowners to implement practices on their property to address a resource concern. So that's probably our biggest sell, is working directly with landowners. And then some other things that, also we do is we partner with land trusts. We partner with the state of Massachusetts Department of Ag Resources on our easement program, the Agriculture Land Easement Program. We provide a lot of funding to land trusts across the state and to MDAR to partner to secure easements. And then another side of our easement program is the Wetland Reserve Easement Program, where we work directly with the landowner to take land that would be considered wetland, that is being farmed or has been farmed, it has a farming history, and we take that land out of production. We put a conservation easement on it so it can no longer be farmed, And then we'll help with restoration if there's some restoration activities that need to be completed. And this past fiscal year in 2025, we just actually funded 2 projects in the Deerfield River watershed for wetland restoration and wetland easements. Some other work that we've done through, working with landowners, like Michael mentioned, in the North River, working with Nick Miller on 2 big stream restoration, stream protection projects. And we worked with FERCog on that. FERCog was kind of the driving force to actually how we got the projects on the ground. And those were funded through our environmental quality incentives program, giving funding directly to landowners. But FERCog, Nick Miller, and Michael Leff were very instrumental in helping us get those projects on the ground. So those are some of the things that we do. Regional Conservation Partnership Program, RCPP, is another avenue where partners can get funding to help us get conservation on the land. It's been a bit of a struggle this past year with administrative changes, but we're expecting to see another announcement come out shortly for the RCPP program. And hopefully folks will be interested in applying to that and seeing if we can get some projects going. Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much, Rita. And since we've been talking about what our neighbors to the north are up to, Margot, we'd love to hear from you.
Hi, all. Yeah, it's great to be able to share a little bit about what's happening, across the border, but still within the watershed. So Kimberly had mentioned that the state of Vermont has been doing river corridor planning, stream geomorphic assessments on rivers throughout the state for quite some time now. And one of the ways, so the community of Wilmington, Vermont, or not Wilmington, excuse me, Whitingham, Vermont, which has the, let's see, east branch of the North River that runs right through it. After Tropical Storm Irene, river corridor plan was completed for that river on the Vermont portion. And a bunch of projects were identified as both water quality and resiliency projects. And what's been great is once those projects were identified, we now have a group of partners that have been working together to sort of do a concentrated effort of trying to complete several of those projects so that, it's not just sort of one project here, one project there, but it's a concentrated group of projects that end up working in conjunction with each other in a spot along the east branch of the North River. So, for example, we have in the village of Jacksonville, which is in Whitingham, they had severe damage in Irene. And so now, based on that river corridor assessment, we have FEMA buyouts happening, several culvert upsizings, a stormwater assessment that's happening, berm removal and buffer plantings. So it's all concentrated together to be able to work in harmony with one another and provide better resiliency into the future. Similarly, the state of Vermont has been funding stormwater master plans for communities around the state. The town of Wilmington, which is on the north branch of the Deerfield, they recently had a stormwater master plan completed. Again, it's a list of potential stormwater projects that could benefit from, implementation. And so we brought together a group of partners who have been working on stormwater projects along with the town to prioritize different stormwater projects from that plan and then sort of assign different projects to different partners to see if we could get a bunch of those prioritized ones moving forward with funding and implementation. Vermont has also another program called, it's the MRGP, which is the Municipal Roads Grant, or, Municipal Roads General Permit. And it's also connected to a grants and aid, which is a funding source, but it has requirements for, if steep roads have stone lined ditches along the sides, some less steep can have like grassy ditches or general sheet flow, but the state has these requirements that if a road is hydrologically connected, then the town must be working towards getting these roads in better condition for runoff and reducing erosion. So Wyndham Regional has been working with towns all through the Deerfield watershed on helping meet the MRGP standards. The Green River Watershed Alliance is a group of partners that have worked to mostly on the Vermont side, although it started to incorporate some Massachusetts portions of the Green River watershed. That's kind of the group. The alliance is sort of in low activity right at the moment. They don't have any projects or activities planned, but they continue to, come together as needed to really focus on the Green River watershed. The Vermont River Conservancy right now is working with a group of landowners at the headwaters of the Green River to have neighborhood conversations about land conservation, and they are the Vermont River Conservancy is trying to get a group of landowners together to conserve their lands to protect the headwaters of the Green River. And let's see, the Deerfield, DRWA, Deerfield River Watershed Association, is working on wild and scenic designation for the Deerfield River and some of its tributaries. And so Wyndham Regional has been assisting them with sort of the connecting to partners on the Vermont portion of the watershed. So those are just a few things that are happening on the Vermont side.
Oh, that's fabulous, Margot. Thanks so much. And I think one thing that I wrote down that I want to follow up with you on is this idea of kind of like a cluster or group of projects that all work together and are implemented, kind of simultaneously or in sequence. Because one of the things, just by the nature of, well, for many reasons, kind of like a scattershot approach, if you will, is maybe what has been happening here in Massachusetts. So anyway, I think that's a wonderful example of something that we could learn a lot from. So I really appreciate you sharing about that, and I'll be following up with you if you don't mind.
That's great.
And I was wondering, Margot mentioned, this this permit for roads and stormwater management on roads, and I wondered if maybe that was kind of a nice segue to hearing from our MassDOT partners. And because there are several of you here today, do you each want to talk, or does somebody want to take the plunge and be the spokesperson?
Yeah, I don't mind talking real quick about what we're doing at MassDOT as it relates to resiliency and stuff. So I won't go into any specific projects, but I will talk more generally as what we're doing to resiliency and keep things kind of high level. So MassDOT has developed a resilience improvement plan, which identifies our statewide resilience priorities. We also partner with various agencies and municipalities with resilience priorities and climate initiatives. Relating more to this project and kind of what I'm excited about. Currently, we're in the initial phase of developing resilience screening workflows to screen our assets, so our culverts, our bridges, our roadways, our drainage structures for different climate hazards. So these things such as extreme heat, extreme precipitation, and then some coastal stuff as well. So what I'm excited about, and to kind of just again speak quickly, is that when this regional flood model is developed, I'm excited to see how this can be applicable for our projects as well as as our screening tool and see how that develops. So just like I said, real quick, but just wanted to provide that.
Well, that's fabulous. Thank you. And maybe I can connect with you offline too to make sure that the consultants that are working on the flood model have all the data sets that like are shareable, that makes sense to be to have as input. So thank you.
Matthew, can you actually share any links to where people could be updated when any of that? You said there was new stuff happening soon.
So we're in the initial phases internally with our resilience screening workflows. We're not ready to share that yet. That'll be a lengthy process. So, but again, as soon as we are ready to share with the public and to share with agencies and stuff, we can definitely coordinate with you.
Okay, thank you.
Great. And am I correct that this work that you're doing now, is that related to the U.S. Geological Survey's work to like think about design information for culvert, like stream crossing replacements, to kind of standardize that?
It's not, no.
Oh, okay. All right, well, thanks. Are there any of the other MassDOT folks that wanted to talk about their work or share any information? Okay, well, if you do, just raise your hand or jump in. I think I'm gonna, if there's nothing more from MassDOT right now, I think I'm gonna turn to Aaron Rogers, because Aaron from Trout Unlimited has done a lot of work in the Deerfield Watershed, not only in Massachusetts, but in other New England states as well.
Yeah, thanks, Kimberly. So yeah, as other people were kind of talking about theirs, I'm like, oh man, how do I start listing through all of my projects over the years in the Deerfield? Because it does come out to be quite a bit. So I'll kind of give the abridged, kind of condensed version, I think. So starting headwaters and working south, working with the Forest Service the last few years, we've done probably 5 or 6 miles of strategic wood additions up in the headwaters, and beaver dam analogs, post-assisted log jams, depending on the kind of context of the stream that we're working in. Partnering with Great River Hydro just outside of the national forest there around the Somerset Reservoir. We've done another 3 or 4 miles of strategic wood additions, largely, as well as checking out a few undersized culverts and things like that, which haven't been replaced yet, but are kind of in process, as things always take time. Kind of moving outside of that area, we did a small dam removal, actually partnering with CRC earlier this year on Jack's Brook in Dover. We've got another small dam likely coming out next year, actually, Margot, on the East Branch of the North River, which I totally realized I should have connected with you on way earlier than that. But so that's a small private dam downstream of an undersized culvert that VTANR just replaced, or VTrans just replaced. We're working with the 2 landowners just downstream of the dam who also have undersized culverts to replace those as well within the next couple of years. And then farther downstream on a small tributary to the East Branch, another landowner who has their property in easement that will be doing some strategic wood loading on there as well. And that'll be roughly about half a mile on that tributary. To the west of all of that, in Stamford and Reedsboro area, working with Alpenwald Village, who have several undersized culverts that they know are flood vulnerable, so that they're trying to address those in advance of them washing out, which is a wonderful thing to hear from a kind of homeowner association and kind of, small kind of community setting. So we'll be working with them to replace at least 3 of those that are kind of high priority ones. Those are on a tributary to the south branch of the Deerfield, and probably doing some strategic wood addition around those culverts once they are replaced. So that way we don't end up clogging things and causing things to wash out before actually getting to those. Moving down into the Massachusetts side of things, back in 2015, TU and our field teams were instrumental in doing the vast majority of culvert assessments throughout the watershed. We have worked with Franklin Land Trust to do some large wood on one of their properties in Crowning Shield. And working with DCR on the H.O. Cook Forest, we removed one of their undersized culverts and actually turned that into a reinforced ford because it was not a regularly actively used roadway, but ensuring that access was still maintained should there be, a wildfire or anything else out in one of the kind of more remote areas that they get out to. Trying to think of what else. I've worked with Kimberly on doing at least a few conceptual culvert replacement designs throughout the South River in Ashfield and Conway, which I would love to get those kind of moved up in terms of finalizing designs and getting those replaced, since I believe at least one of those got washed out again in the last year or two. And I think that is everything that comes to mind at the moment.
Great, thank you, Erin. So Nick, do you want to go next and share some work or ideas, either like build upon what's already been talked about, or if you've got some other things that you'd like to share, and also the fact that you're on the board for the Franklin Land Trust. And then I thought after you, I would go to Emily.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Kimberly. Yeah. So there's a lot, but we've been working with FERCOG for a number of years. And, some of that work has been watershed assessments. We've done a lot of stream river corridor mapping, including for the Green River, North River, Clesson Brook, South River, and Sawmill. And in those efforts, we usually talk a lot to landowners about conservation, and with the support of the Franklin Land Trust, and some of that conservation has come to pass, which has been great. Right now, I'm working on a flood resilience planning and modeling project on Bloody Brook in Deerfield, which Megan mentioned. And that's been great for the town of Deerfield. That work is ongoing. We've also got some ongoing work that Becky mentioned with CRC on the fire station bank, but behind the fire station and the town offices in Coleraine. It's like an old uncapped landfill that is eroding into the river. We're doing conceptual design work on that to try to get stabilization of that slope. two of the coolest projects I think that we've worked on. One was the South River Meadow, which with the help of FERCog was constructed in 2016, and this is a floodplain reconnection project. It was 1 acre of you know, formerly active floodplain that's now active again, and that's been working really great. And that's right in the village of Conway. And we just got the town of Conway just got a grant to do conceptual design work on a similar floodplain reconnection project upstream in the old Conway Reservoir. So that was been a very successful project, and you know, great in terms of its resilience. Another one that I think is worth highlighting, what Michael Leff mentioned earlier when he was with CRC. He, you know, painstakingly helped me bring this one across the finish line through a maze of permitting that Rita was also involved in, and that is on 2 landowners up at the most northern Route 112 bridge on the East Branch of the North River, and that project has been doing fabulously with a modified logjam structure called the wood buttress that stabilized the bank and has provided the opportunity for a forest buffer to grow up. We also removed a culvert and moved the road away from the riverbank, and that project has worked really well. That went to construction in 2020. But there's a number of things going on. Just this morning, I was emailing with Lisa Hayden, who I believe is still on the call, about potentially doing some planting behind the town garage in Holly on the Chickley River. So it's kind of like scattershot. Seems like there's work going on all over the watershed, and it's great to hear what others are working on. And you know, if anyone wants to get in touch with me after this, I'd welcome that. Thanks for having me, Kimberly.
Great. Thank you, Nick. Emily, do you want to talk about the work that you've been doing maybe on the river corridor easement? I want to be mindful of people's time, and I also wanted to give the town coalition members, after they hear from all the partners, you know, an opportunity to ask any questions. And we did have like a few other things on the agenda. So I'm thinking people would be very interested in hearing about the river corridor easement. If you want to talk about that.
Sure thing, Kimberly. I'll be mindful of people's time. And I'm very glad that Nick gave such a great overview of some of the conservation work and prioritization that we've been able to work with you on. The river corridor easement, Franklin Trust worked with FERCog, as well as Field Geology and other partners to adapt this tool and conservation language that's been used in Vermont for a decade or more to help conserve and bring into the conservation conversation, making long-term or permanent commitments for the river to be able to self-adjust and transition from, in the Vermont context primarily, farmland to a dynamic system. And we have been able to create a draft easement and restriction. And this year we'll be continuing on that process, taking the language that we have been able to successfully use in one conservation project in Conway to incorporate language regarding channel management rights into a conservation restriction in Massachusetts, to bring into focus the potential for restoration along river corridors, and to bring that into the conservation stewardship of the land long term. And our goal is to be able to create template language that can be included into the standard conservation restriction that's used across the state, which hopefully will be relevant for people in our region and across the state to conserve these resources. And I'll put one single plug if I can, Kimberly, and for the Forest for the Fish project. initiative that we've been partnering on with Trout Unlimited, with Aaron Rogers and others, just to bring some of that great work and consciousness about the need for restoration and in-stream wood and riparian buffering that's been happening further north. And then to bring that into the Massachusetts conversation, there's been a certain amount of hesitancy and barriers based on our very robust regulatory regime. So we want to bring that into our toolkit here, along with FERCog and others who are making great strides in providing guidelines with the recent report on restoration in river waters. So I guess I'll have to move on, and thanks so much for letting us talk about our part.
Oh, well, Emily, thank you so much. If you do want to drop anything in the chat, like a link, maybe to the Forest for the Fish or anything else, because, you know, the Land Trust is such an important partner in the work that we're doing. I think several years ago, Emily, when we were talking about the river corridor easement, you and Elaine mentioned, you know, how many miles of riparian land that is under stewardship through the work of the Franklin Land Trust. And so that's like an untapped opportunity. And you did, Aaron mentioned the Crown and Shield property, and maybe you could drop a link to that project as well as an example of how the work of the Land Trust, you know, can really dovetail very nicely with flood resiliency work. So thanks for that, Emily.
Thanks so much, Shirley.
And so we have two staff from Mass DEP here with us, and we're very grateful for that. Michael and Mary, I don't know if both of you would like to share anything or comment on what you've heard so far.
I can jump in real quickly. Basically, as folks know, Mass DEP, well, first of all, I'm with the Mass DEP Western Regional Office Wetlands Program. And we are a regulatory agency. So we do not, you know, we don't have funding for projects. We don't propose for projects, but every project that has an impact to a wetland or a water body or a floodplain eventually crosses our desk in some capacity. Basically projects, so as folks know, permitting under Wetlands Protection Act is done at the municipal level. Mass DEP also gets a copy. We try to coordinate with the Conservation Commission to help the commission to understand the concepts and to move the project forward and to understand how the regulations work. And then we also serve as a appellant agency. If relevant parties are upset with the decision of the commission, they can appeal it to us, in which case we will review it and issue a superseding order of conditions. We also implement what's called Section 401 water quality certification. That's basically the state's implementation of a Clean Water Act permit. And basically, any project that's gone through this watershed has crossed our desk in some capacity. Again, we're not really advocates for projects as much as we just look at them. We often ask questions that people don't want to hear, but we're just trying to make sure that everything's moving forward in consistency with what the regulations say. I think that's really it for me, and I do want to give my colleague Mary Grover an opportunity to introduce herself.
Thank you,
Hi.
Michael.
Hi, I'm Mary. I'll just add that we do also frequently provide a lot of technical assistance. At any point, if there's any questions about the permitting process, we're always happy to meet with people and have pre-permitting meetings and or even conceptual meetings to talk about projects and how to best move them forward.
Great. Well, thank you both so very much. And Michael and Mary both participated as part of the Blue Ribbon panel in FERCog's project to develop a inland river restoration permitting guide, which is now available on our website, and we can share that link with people. So I think it's great that you were able to come here and just hear about all the good work that's going on in the watershed, and just really appreciate the participation that you had as part of the development of that permitting guide, because it looking towards the future with all this work that we want to continue doing, it's going to be really helpful to have the knowledge that we gained during that project and now have in the guide. So thank you both. And then last but certainly not least, is Lisa Hayden from the Woodlands Partnership. Was there anything that you wanted to share?
Oh. Hi, thank you. Not really. This has been really interesting. Just that we have a U.S. Forest Service grant from Urban and Community Forestry that was framed around tree planting and riparian restoration, overlapping with village districts. So basically the wildland urban interface zone of the maps that the Forest Service provided. So we've done a few tree planting projects over the last few years. One with the South River Meadow in Conway, at the Buckland Shelburne Elementary School on a field location near a culvert coming down from Route 2, and also at Hollamont School in Charlemont along the Deerfield. And we probably have funding for like 2 more sites. We've been looking for a while, trying to do some over in the Berkshires as well. Oh, sorry, the Williamstown bike path we also did, which is not in the Deerfield, but anyway, we're talking with Holly and possibly doing something else at the Charlemont School site, where there was a lot of invasives that needed attention. So it looks like maybe the Holly site will work out for this fall. So that's what I'm focused on next. But trying to spend down our remaining funds for tree stock and find some good locations that will benefit. So that's
Wonderful.
basically it, and happy to talk about other projects in the future as we have been doing recently. So thanks, Kimberly.
Great, thank you, Lisa. Well, we have 10 minutes left, and rather than go through the rest of the agenda, which we can save for later,
Kimberly.
Yeah.
Did Eric Perro get a chance to talk, or?
Oh my gosh, thank you. Now that I can see, no, Eric, I'm so sorry. Thank you, Audrey.
No, it's really not a problem. I'm more here in a listen and learn type of capacity, so I don't really have much to add to the conversation with them.
Okay, and can you remind us again, because you're representing Great River Hydro, is that correct?
That is correct. I'm an
Yes.
operations coordinator for Great River Hydro. Yes.
Yes. Well, we really appreciate you attending, and hopefully it was interesting to hear about all the work that's going on in the watershed. And of course, the hydro projects on the Deerfield are an important, piece of the resilience work that we're all doing.
Yeah, great. And we're very proud of our renewable energy that we produce that doesn't add to carbon emissions and all that good stuff. And it sounds like you guys are doing a lot of great work for the watershed. So thanks again for having me.
Well, thank you, Eric. And so we have about 10 minutes left, and we'll save the prioritization work and everything for another meeting, because I really wanted to open up to the town representatives if there were any questions that they had of the project partners, or any comments that they wanted to add, and also if the partners, after hearing what other folks have been doing, if they had any questions, comments, thoughts. So did anything come in to the chat, Audrey, that we should share, or?
Nothing in the chat from anyone asking questions or any partners. There's a lot of great resources. I've been copying and pasting them all into our meeting notes. Every single one of them I got so far. So we will have those up on our website.
Okay.
We have 5 partners here today. So, yeah, if anything came up in your heads that you want to ask, now is a great time. Wow. Everyone,
Yeah,
not the
now,
partners, the representatives, I mean.
now is a good time, but I guess we do want to touch upon one thing that was still on our agenda for today, and that was the field trip, right?
Yep, that's correct. So
Do you want me to go back to the?
Yeah, you can go back to the slide. So we mentioned the field trip in our last meeting, which was in June, and we're trying to plan that for the next meeting date, which let's see what it says on the slide, would
Yeah, I
be
gotta get it away from.
Thursday, October 16th, I believe.
I'm sorry, like close your eyes as I like go through this really fast. Here we go.
Yeah. So instead of having our meeting like this online, we would actually have you all meet us here. And we were going to do a bus trip around the Deerfield River watershed to maybe 3 or 4 sites that we have either mentioned today or ones that you have in mind that you want to that are in your towns that you think we should all visit as a group. Anything that we've talked about today, so like any restoration sites, any sites in need of restoration. We have some ideas in mind, and I'm pretty sure all of them were mentioned today by at least one of the partners. But we were wondering if any of the coalition members had sites in their towns that they wanted us to visit during this field trip. And then we would come back to the office after that, in the office in Greenfield after that, and talk a little bit more about our next steps with the prioritization matrix and what we've been working on with your homeworks that you've all passed in. So,
yeah, do people have any initial thoughts about this? I mean, we can always follow up. I know there's a lot to take away from this meeting today, so we might just need to follow up again on this, but we did want to throw that date out there. Also, we were thinking of a half day or, the 4 hours, but if you have feedback on that as well. Franklin County's pretty big. Deerfield River Watershed's pretty big. So we wouldn't be able to have a ton of sites that we see in that short of time. But let's see. I don't know. Do we have any raised hands about
yeah,
this?
we have people writing in the chat. I'm just copying and pasting what they're saying. So we have
Okay.
2 mornings are better for 2 people. And Hollamont would be a good place to visit.
Okay.
Morning. Okay, so it's sounding like morning, and there is only 5 people here. And our group is a little bigger. But I'm pretty sure we'll end up going with mornings, it's sounding like. We will also we'll probably end up sending out more information soon about our route that we want to take the buses on.
Okay. Well, and also, I mean, this invitation is extended as well to the partners. I mean, we hope to have you be, that you are part of this resilient Deerfield River Watershed Coalition. We have all our great town members who have been working collectively over the past several months, and now we really want to integrate, engage with all of you partners to the extent that you are able. And that we will, unless there is, or you don't want to be included on our mailing list, for upcoming meetings. We really view you all as very important partners and collaborators in this work. And we'd be happy to have you come on the field trip as well. So I see Ashley.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
I have a question for Audrey. Have you reached out to the school about stopping there? I know they're in session right now.
That's a good point. Yeah.
No. We can reach out to them, but we have not done any. We just have like a list of places we're interested in going to.
Yeah. I just know if you guys are going to be going there, yeah, you'll have to sign in and do, you know, all of that just because it's school property. Just
Yeah,
to
that's
put
a
that out
good
there.
So I wanted, because it's almost 12:30 now, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who was here today. And we learned so much from the conversation, and we really appreciate it. I understand anybody who needs to hop off now, please do so. And if there are folks that did want to stay, like some of our town members, if there were any other last bits of like housekeeping that we needed to do, you know, Audrey and I can stay on for a few more minutes. But thank you to all of our partners and all of our town reps on this beautiful, beautiful September day. Everybody get outside.
Day for a site visit. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank
So is there,
Thanks for
thanks,
coming.
Star. Thanks.
Kimberly, do not end this call.
I am not touching it. Don't worry.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks. Do not touch anything.
No, see my hands? They're up here.
Yes,
So-
someone's asking a
Yes, I hear
question.
somebody calling my name.
Yeah, it's me, Bob Cherdak.
Oh, hi, Bob.
I'd like to ask you to think about all the people who presented today. It's very encouraging. And the emphasis is on preventing floods or reducing the impact of floods and making the physical environment more resilient. But I have a different focus on my efforts, or the beginning of my efforts, and that's on handling the emergencies flooding would cause. And I'd like you, if you possibly could, identify who spoke today will be most appropriate to approach and find out what their emergency response would be. How do we get access to people whose roads have been cut off by flooding? And the other question I had, and this may be a little naive, is the possibility of having more ponds at rural locations. It seemed to me that for a long time, every farm I saw had a farm pond, probably for fire water supply as much as anything else. But is there the benefits and ecological and economic costs of creating the more ponds? Is there any place to look for that kind of information? So
Okay.
if you could think about that and give me some pointers, I'd be very much grateful for that.
All right. That sounds good. Yeah, thank you. I will do that. And I'll consult here internally at the FERCog too with the emergency preparedness staff and see, you know, to follow up on the kind of the emergency management side of things. And then I'll put on my thinking cap about the ponds and I assume related to firefighting.
Well, firefighting, but also I think that ponds might help you reduce the spread the flow over time.
Okay, so
might-
like stormwater management. All right.
Yeah, assuming that
Yeah.
they weren't full to the brim all the time.
Right. And I know that the work that was done at the Ashfield Lake Dam, I think you and I talked about this, and maybe we could get Ron Kohler, or I could talk to Ron Kohler more about this, but there was like resilient upgrades made to the Ashfield Lake Dam, and there has been talk about how if the lake could be used kind of to store excess water and how it would be released. So I think that's something to delve deeper in, and you and I could talk more about that.
Yeah, there's a, Ron, I guess, did most of it, put together about an 80-page manual for the dam. And it
Yeah.
includes provisions for lowering the level of the dam, of the lake, prior to heavy storms. So
Yeah.
I assume that Ron will be listening for storm warnings
Yeah.
and adjusting the lake level appropriately. But I'll
Yeah.
talk to him about that.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you. All right, well, I see Jessica, Andrea, Janet, Ashley, still left. Did anybody else have any questions or comments?
No, just wanted to say thank you. I'm just like reading over the chat right now.
Oh, good. Well, and Audrey made sure that my hands are up here. I'm not ending the meeting. She's going to save all of that information so it can
Yeah.
be shared.
I took a lot of notes and I tried to like timestamp when all the different partners were talking. So like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you know what I mean? So you can look at the notes and then be able to fast forward in the video that we're going to download.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah, just because it was so long and there were so many people.
Yeah, it really was so incredible to hear about all of the work.
Yeah, let me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I